Hi everyone and welcome to a new edition of You Are My Boro with myself, Scott Wilson and Dom Shaw from the Northern Echo. And we are getting towards the business end of the season. We are getting there. Obviously, Boro are at Blackburn Rovers tomorrow night. We're recording this tea time Thursday. The game is obviously Friday night. That's very much going to be the focus of the video the next half hour or so. We'll have a chat around the game itself. We'll have a look at the promotion picture. We'll talk about what team Michael Carrick might pick and all of that. You're going to Ewood Park, Dom. You were also at Michael Carrick's press conference over at Rockcliffe. Where are we? Yesterday afternoon, Wednesday. What were the main things to come out of that? How's things looking ahead of the Blackburn game?
Well, we'll get in the injury stuff first because I think there's an interesting selection decision for Carrick to make there. See what your thoughts are on it and what he'll do, and let us know in the comments what you think Carrick will and should do tomorrow night. So Ralph van den Berg is obviously, he was on the bench at Oxford. He came on in the last 4 or 5 minutes. Riley McGree was as well. There no ill effects there. They're fine. They'll both be in the squad again tomorrow. Dale Fry and George Edmondson making good progress. Within the next week or so, they're expected to be back in training.
In and around
the next week or so. Luke Ayling's had minor surgery on.
Yeah, he's not in and around, unfortunately.
No, he's not in and around it. You would expect. I mean, Carrick didn't rule it out, but it feels a long shot him playing again this season, doesn't it? So Van den Berg came off the bench against Oxford. He's had a week of full training. Does he put him in tomorrow night, or do you stick with a makeshift defence that has conceded 2 goals in 3 games? If he does go in, who drops out and what does he do? What do you reckon?
I think he plays. I think I understand why they've kind of eased him back in. You know, he's had niggles all season, really, hasn't he, off and on Van den Berg? So I understand the caution. I think we're getting to the stage of the season now where every game is so important that if you've got your best players, you play them. And Van den Berg clearly is Boro's best centre-half, isn't he?
Yeah.
I don't think he's had a stellar season, don't get me wrong. I don't think he's necessarily kicked on as much as maybe we'd all hoped. But like I say, I think the stop-start nature of it for him has been a big factor in that. And obviously, he's had a constant change in cast list around him, hasn't he? Let's be honest. So, but I still think he is the best defender. So I think you play him. Now, what does that mean? I think it probably means Johnny Howson dropping out.
Yeah.
I think you'd play him and Borges. For all that Borges isn't a centre half, I think he's looked pretty good. Is Howson the easy one to leave out? Maybe.
I suppose.
What do you think? It feels like Howson would make way ahead of Borges, and that's just me completely guessing it.
Well,
don't think you move Illing Jr. at the minute. I'll say that.
That's the other thing.
He's been playing so well that don't think you take him out of left back.
No, because I was going to say that's your other option. You play Van den Berg and Howson, move Borges back to left back and move Illing Jr. forward. But then who drops out? As in the middle, Iheanacho drops out, but Iheanacho scores his first goal last week and was clearly buzzing about that. So it'd be a blow if you were to take him out. I wonder whether if Van den Berg does come back in, with Howson, you at least can fall back on. We rushed him back. He's had next to no training and he's played before he came back. And he's played, 3-4 games on the bounce. That said, I think just having Howson's experience there again, having him back on the pitch has been so important and he's so influential. And I am leaning towards sticking with the same team, but then you kind of remind yourself that Van den Berg is the best defender and this is a must-win game. It's a tricky one, isn't it? I mean, I can't believe we're having this conversation, given that they have no centre halves.
I just think that if you don't play Van den Berg and then you go to Blackburn and your makeshift defence wobbles for the first time and you let a soft goal in and you lose 1-0 or you're chasing the game and you scramble a point, but it's a game you could have won, I think you're kicking yourself there. Yeah. I think you're saying, well, why have I done that? I should have played Van den Berg. Unless, listen, you can put Van den Berg in and he can have a real rick and whatever. But I don't see a scenario where you play Van den Berg and come the end of it, you're thinking, God, I wish I hadn't played him. Do you know what I mean? Even if it goes wrong, you still know you're playing him because he's your best defender.
We had a response to both of us actually on X. I'd noticed it yesterday from John Powell's. Could he go with 3 at the back? House and Van den Berg and Borges with Illing Jr. and Dijksteel at wing back, Morris, Hackney and Azaz in midfield with Iheanacho and Conway as a top 2. Feels unlikely, I think, for a game like this. That Carrick, I mean, how reluctant Carrick has been to change away from his preferred system.
Yeah. Sounds like a good team.
It does. It does.
I can definitely see them. I mean, Illing Jr. looks a wing back all day long, doesn't he? And that back 3 feels like it would work. Housing in a back 3 is probably absolutely ideal for him where he's at now. It's very un-Carrick at any stage of the season, but even more so now when we're in the last month and it's make or break. I don't think there's any chance of him doing it. I can see the argument that on paper, that's maybe Boro's best team and the best way of setting this team up. I wouldn't disagree with that, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Blackburn, then. I'm finding the quotes here from Carrick yesterday. Blackburn have lost 4 on the bounce. This isn't Carrick's quotes, but
they're bloody awful. We'll beat them 5-0. Road,
Michael, is that you? So Blackburn, this is the background before I tee up Carrick's quotes. Blackburn have lost 4 on the bounce. Valerian Ismail is still winless, and there is a hell of a lot going on behind the scenes there. Their officials, including Rudy Gusted, of course, have been under fire in the last couple of weeks, being told to stay away by fans. They hit back at that and said they absolutely won't stay away. We need unity in the run-in. And Gusted and Steve Waggett, the chief executive, have been doing press this week. And Waggett, again, has been talking about the need to pull together, saying they're still in with a chance of a top 6 finish. They're 5 points off. But given that there's talk of protests this on Friday night, and given the fact they've lost 4 on the bounce, and it would be a huge surprise now if they were to turn that round, Carrick was asked whether it's a good time to go and play a Blackburn. And he said, we're certainly not looking at it as a good time, but it is, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, listen, you know, I was going to say, if you're picking an away game that, you know, if you have to play an away game with 7 games left now, and you know, it's getting towards make or break time. Maybe you'd want a Plymouth, but I'm not sure you would. I'm not sure you would want a Plymouth or a Luton I think you'd want Blackburn, because it just feels like the wheels have completely come off there. John Eustace's departure has clearly completely unsettled them, and what a job he's doing, by the way, where he's gone at Derby. That's clearly upset them. Ishmael's gone in and it hasn't worked. That's then reignited all the festering wounds that, let's be honest, have been at Blackburn really ever since Mowbray was there. And before, to be perfectly honest. All of that is back out in the open now. Football cliche alert, get the klaxons. It feels like the game where if Boro can get the first goal, then you know, it'll become toxic, and surely Boro can then win the game. You know, just don't let Blackburn get off to a good start, get ahead, and give the fans something to concentrate on other than ripping into what they think's wrong at their football club. Because, like I say, if Boro can get on top, then I think it becomes toxic very quickly.
Well, the reason I was smiling there when you mentioned the first goal is because I put that exact point to Carrick yesterday and said that it is.
All goals are important.
So, are you reading the quote?
I haven't seen it.
But it is, isn't it? I mean, if you go there and if Blackburn score first, it gives the fans chance to forget about everything they've been mourning and complaining about, understandably, this week. Whereas if Boro score first, it just adds to the toxic atmosphere, doesn't it? And makes life incredibly difficult for the Blackburn players.
Absolutely. You know, aside that, like you say, have got no form to speak of. You know, haven't got it going under Ishmael in any way, shape, or form. Feels like one more defeat, and they're probably completely out of the playoff picture. So yeah, I mean, what a chance for Boro. You know, to be fair, we said it at Oxford at home, and they got the job done. We said it at QPR at home, and they got the job done. This is another one where it feels like if Boro are going to get over the line, and we've talked all the time, how many points do they need? How many wins? Is it 4 from 7? Is it 5 from 7? Well, kind of feels like this has got to be one of them, especially when we know who's coming at the Riverside on Tuesday night. And I know they're having a little wobble of their own, but that is, that's not a game you want to be going into off the back of losing to Blackburn and potentially being all of a sudden 6 points behind the playoffs when you could have been in them. I think it's a really big game for Boro tomorrow night. I really do.
What a unique case Leeds are, by the way. And we're doing a video on Monday looking ahead to that game, so we won't get to it now. But Daniel Farke has confirmed today that he's going to drop Meslier.
I saw that.
I mean, only Leeds could get themselves in a situation like this.
Which is ironic, given that Meslier is the one who's been dropping everything all season.
Well, we'll talk about that. We are going to do a video on Monday morning, and we'll look ahead to that Leeds game on Tuesday night at the Riverside. Scott's there at the Riverside on Tuesday, and that promises to be a belter of a game. Leeds are at Luton this weekend as well. That's not I know the second bottom, but they're picking up Luton. They were good against Boro. You don't want to go.
This isn't a Leeds video, but I funny enough, I was just looking before. They're 5-1 Luton to win that game. I think I could see Luton beating Leeds. Famous last words. This will come out 0-3. Yeah, fine. But I could see Luton beating Leeds.
The other thing I put to Carrick yesterday was let's talk the league table now and where things are at. And I'd put to him Coventry, West Brom, Boro, and Bristol City are separated by 2 points. Then you've got a 4-point gap to Watford, and Watford, Norwich, Blackburn, and Sheff Wed are separated by 1 point. Is it 2 from 4 now, or are the others still in it? And what Carrick said, fair enough. He said, well, 2 or 3 weeks ago, we were probably being written off. We were 12th or 13th. We'll talk about the fixtures in a minute and who plays what. But what's your instinctive feel on that, and whether any of those?
I don't think we can quite say that it's that clear cut yet. I think with 7 games left, if you're getting to like 4 games left, then maybe, because those sides that you talked about are going to have to win 3 or 4, and they're still needing things to slip up. A Sheff Wednesday could win 5 of the last 7. And if a Boro only win 3 of the last 7, they're probably back in it. So I think those sides that you mentioned on the wrong side of the 4-point gap, if they lose one of the next 2, then that's going to make life incredibly difficult for them. And we probably are starting then to edge towards 2 from 4 or 2 from 3. I don't think we're quite there yet.
Blackburn are out of it if Boro win tomorrow night, aren't they?
Yes. Yeah, I think so, yeah. Just because of, like we've been saying, the backdrop of it. It's not just the fact that they're going to have the points to make up. It's the fact that they're on a horrendous run and the club's falling apart.
And Boro can obviously move to 5th in the table tomorrow night if they win. And I know it might only be temporarily before the games at the weekend, but that in itself is a boost, isn't it? And it does put the pressure on the other teams.
Well, I'm just double checking. I was going to say, okay, so it'll be the level highest that they've been all season. They've never been higher than 5th. Boro. So, if nothing else, it will really cement the fact that they're right in this race now. And we've been doing these vids for plenty enough talking about it. And even 2 or 3 weeks ago, I think we were still saying, well, they're in it, but it feels like a long shot. Well, if they win at Ewood Park tomorrow night, it's absolutely not a long shot anymore. They are right bang in it. They're in the box seat, aren't they? They're in the playoff positions. So. And like you say, all right, I'm sure that players and other managers, yes, they'll be aware of it. They're not obsessing about the table at the minute. But, if you're a Coventry, if you're a Bristol City, if you're a West Brom are at home to Sunderland, aren't they, on Saturday? Then I think if you see Boro win tomorrow night, you are thinking, okay, well, that's just put us under the cosh a little bit more because all of a sudden, Boro will be on a really good run then. But if Boro win tomorrow night, clearly that'll be, 3 wins from the last 4 games unbeaten. That's about as good as they've been at any stage this season.
Well, the second in the form table now, only behind Burnley. And I did notice on Saturday, and I don't know whether you've had kind of similar interactions or similar conversations over the course of last week. We've had the conversation, haven't we, a few times on this pod and video over the course of last week. And I know Mark Drury and the guys at BBC Tees have as well. When we've talked about the playoffs weeks ago, a fair few of the comments were kind of, let it go, lads. It's not going to happen. We're not good enough. On Saturday, there seemed to be just the slightest change where maybe we are onto something now. I still don't think that Boro have quite regained the trust of the fans yet, and that's been a big thing, hasn't it? Can we trust this team to string 3 or 4 wins together? But if you go and win tomorrow night to Blackburn on the back of the Oxford win and the Luton draw, just all helps to build, doesn't it?
I think they've been scratchy wins, haven't they? And that's not a criticism, because Boro have needed to get some scratchy wins. They haven't been able to get any kind of wins in too many games this season. So that's not a criticism. I think to fully believe, because let's be honest, if you believe in, then you're kind of believing that they can actually not only get in the playoffs, but win them. I think to really believe, we probably need to see a performance that says, there's something clicking here. At the minute, I'm not belittling it, because they deserve a lot of credit for grinding out the results they have in the last few weeks. And goodness knows, both of us have hammered them all season for not having the bottle, not having the resilience, not having the resolve. So fair play to them for that. I think to start really believing that this could be promotion, we probably need a performance as well that really clicks and says, do you know what? Carrick might be onto something here. There might be something really brewing here, because at the minute, kind of feels like they're playing at the level they've been playing at all season. They're just winning scratchy games as opposed to finding ways to lose them, if that makes sense.
Which is a big development.
Which is still a step forward, no, absolutely, and that's why I don't want it to come across that.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Yeah, completely.
Because, absolutely. Fair play to them for doing that. We've said long enough that they haven't been able to. So I don't want to belittle that, but it just kind of feels that the next step is there a performance in there that screams, do you know what? We actually are really onto something here.
I think Carrick could absolutely agree with what you and what we're saying there. We spoke to him about that yesterday. Have you now finally found a way to win games, having found a way to drop points really for the season? And he said, you do it in different ways. I think it's a huge quality to have if you want to be successful in whatever way. It's something that you need as a team. There's no getting away from that. And we've spoken long about that throughout the season in different situations. We could have, maybe should have done better. Hopefully we've learned from it. That's spot on, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And you do need that. And for Boro to get into the playoffs, they were always going to have to win. The last 2 home games, prime examples. They were the better side in both games, but earlier in the season, they almost certainly would have found a way not to win one of those games, whether it be missing chances, whether it be conceding sloppy goals, whether it be switching off, whatever. They're not doing that now, and that's great, and it's a definite step forward. Like I say, I just think that, and that might be good enough to get them into the playoffs because it's so tight. Is it going to be enough for them to win a 2-legged semi-final against a Burnley or a Leeds if they drop into it, or a Sunderland, and then a final at Wembley? I still think we're probably going to need to see a bit better in terms of performance, but they can get there.
We did a piece this week on the Echo site, and it was in the paper as well, on the run-in for the various teams involved in the championship race for the playoffs. I won't go through every game, every team, but I'll just fire through Coventry, West Brom, and Bristol City. Coventry, Burnley and Portsmouth at home, Hull away, West Brom home, Plymouth away, Luton away, Boro home. Just straight away off the top without before we get into the other ones, the Burnley game this weekend feels big just because of their result last time out, doesn't it? They don't get a positive result there. The momentum's...
That list that you read to me there, the first thing that instantly think is they're not playing many teams there who don't have anything to play for. And I know there's not many teams like that in the Championship, but they're either playing teams at the top or the bottom, aren't they? And like at the back end of the season, those Plymouth and Luton games could be really difficult.
Yeah, well, and that's it. I wrote, because we did a verdict on each, and I wrote in exactly that. Plymouth and Luton away, the difficulties of those challenges will depend on what the strugglers have to play for at that stage of the season. Plymouth might be gone. There's every chance Luton are still going to be kicking and screaming at that stage and trying to get out of it. West Brom, Sunderland home, Bristol City away, Watford home, Coventry away, Derby home, Cardiff away, Luton home. That doesn't feel quite as... So Watford home isn't a bad game. Derby home, well, Derby are flying along at the minute. Cardiff away, Cardiff are going to be struggling and scrapping. Luton at home, though, not at Kenilworth Road. The next two, though, Sunderland home, Bristol City away.
I was just going to say, their run screams to me that the next three will tell us an awful lot. And if they're still... If West Brom are in the top 6 with 3 games to go, I'd fancy them to get there, because I think their finish is good. But I think they've got a very tough next 3 or 4.
And Bristol City, finally, we did an average current position of their remaining opponents, and Bristol City's is the highest. But it's Watford at home, West Brom home, QPR away, Sunderland home, Luton away, Leeds away, Preston home. Now, the thing there is, yes, they play Watford, West Brom, Sunderland, and Leeds. But 3 of those are at home, and only the Championship's top 4 have got better home records than Bristol City. That Leeds away game on the penultimate weekend could be massive for them both. But I don't think that's quite as tough as it might perhaps at first glance.
They play Sunderland at home on Good Friday, don't they? And by then, you would think that Sunderland, they're pretty much there now, but will be absolutely in a no man's land of largely nothing to play for. So, yeah, I think they're lively contenders, Bristol City, because like you say, they're very good at home, and it feels like there's winnable home games for them there, some of which will be against their rivals as well, which is obviously important.
And just lastly, as I say, I won't go through the fixtures of the others, but we've touched on Blackburn for obvious reasons. What about Sheff Wed? Because Sheff Wed, their fixtures are actually the kindest of the lot. Their running is decent. But there's the small matter of the fact the players haven't been paid this week.
Yeah.
Surely you're not going to launch a late push for the playoffs when that's going on in the background, are you?
No, I mean, Sheffield Wednesday did not... For them to get in from where they are now, they're almost certainly going to have to win 5 of 7, maybe 6 of 7. They don't strike me as a team. Even without the off-field stuff, they don't strike me as a team that are going to do that. Certainly once all of that's factored in, no, I don't think so.
Just before we wrap up then and get Blackburn predictions, there is another fierce battle for promotion going on at the minute, and that's Boro Women, who have 2 games to play at the top of the division, and they're second, only behind Cheadle Town on goal difference with 2 games to play. There's 3 goals in it. Mick Mulhern's team have only lost 1 game all season, and they find themselves in a position where there's a chance they won't go up.
You can only lose once all season and yet not go up.
Well, the last home game of the season, you've probably seen the last home game of the season against Donny is Sunday the 13th of April, and it's at the Riverside. More than 1,000 tickets have been sold already. Season ticket holders can get free entry, but they only have until noon this Sunday. So if you fancy it, obviously Boro play on the Saturday. Get along and cheer the side on, because I'm just getting the table up again. Doncaster, a second bottom. They've only won 3 games all season. They've only got 14 points.
Yeah.
Boro might not just have to win. They might have to win well if they turn around. So, best of luck. Obviously, all the details are on the club website, so you can find them there. But best of luck to the girls ahead of those final 2 games. Hopefully they turn it round and win promotion this season. And obviously hopefully the men's team do as well. And if they do, if they're going to, then hopefully 3 points tomorrow will be I'll go a long way towards achieving that. What do you reckon? Will they get over the line at Ewood?
I think that this might be the game where we actually do see Boro cut loose a bit. Yeah, I'm
I thought you were going to go the other way for a minute there.
You what?
I thought you were going to go the other way for a minute there.
No, do you know what? I'm going to go Blackburn 1, Middlesbrough 4.
Oh, hellfire.
Now, I don't do this very often, do I? I'm going to go Blackburn 1, Middlesbrough 4.
Who's getting the goals?
One way 2. Another one for Iheanacho. And then a late one from Hackney.
I'm going to go for a comfortable 2-1.
Comfortable 2-1.
2-0 up. 2-0 up. Blackburn, similar to the QPR game. Similar to the QPR home game. I think Boro will get themselves in front. I think the Blackburn fans will turn. Might get a little bit hairy later on, but I fancy Boro to get over the line. I fancy Boro in a big way to win.
I think Boro will be 2-0 up at half time. I think they go 3-0 up on about 55 minutes and all hell starts breaking loose. Blackburn steady, get a goal back with about 15 minutes to go, and then Hackney gets a fourth with 87.
Boro have scored 4 at Ewood before. Didn't Jimmy get a hat-trick in a 4-0 win?
Yes, I think so.
Year off the top of my head, but yeah, that'd be nice. And it was at Blackburn where Boro won in Carrick's first season in charge. And with the 1-0 down at half-time, and they came back and won 2-1. But that felt like like another one where you think, we're onto something here. You can see that something's happening.
Well, let's see.
Yeah. Well, let's see.
You can blame both of us when it's 0-0 and viewers in the country are turning off in their droves after about 75 minutes.
And we're back twisting again on Monday morning. And we will be back. We will be back on Monday morning, hopefully reflecting on a Boro win in Ewood Park and how will Leeds have fared at Kenilworth Road on Saturday. We'll find out over the weekend, and then we'll be back to preview that game at the Riverside on Tuesday night. Do get in touch in the comments if there's anything you want us to discuss, or if you've got any opinions on what we have discussed in the last 25 minutes or so there. Like the channel, subscribe to the channel, if you haven't already on YouTube, and rate and review on your podcast platforms as well. Enjoy your travels if you're going down tomorrow night. Enjoy the game. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll be back next week. Take care.